you need is love.
I just assumed he's a Wookiee.
All you need is love.
You could use a good kiss!
In the name of love.
I love you.
One night in the name of love.
I know.
We should be lovers.
I thought that we had decided not to fall in love.
We should be lovers. And that's a fact.
Annie, I'm pregnant.
How wonderful life is. Now you're in the
I like the sound of that.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Ladies, listen.
A billion years in the making.
Off to Neverland.
What do you know?
You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll kiss $3 goodbye.
That was our Ode to Valentine's Day. That was Obi-Wan Kenobi singing the Elephant Love Medley from Moulin Rouge.
Oh, with a little help from his friends.
Some of you may know him as Ewan McGregor, but to me, that was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So welcome to episode 17 of Skywalking Through Neverland. We are a Star Wars, Disney, and pop culture podcast dedicated to the fans. Available on iTunes, YouTube, on our website, and now on Stitcher Radio.
And I want to wish a very special happy Valentine's to my sweetie, Sarah.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. This is Sarah, also known as Jedi Tink, and I'm blushing right now.
She really is.
Coming up on our very special podcast today, we have Steve Hous on Mouse Droid Mixer. He's from Torpedo Comics.
And he's going to tell us which comics have made a faithful leap onto the big screen and which film made him pull his own kidney out.
That was a very interesting discussion.
It was. Yeah, he pulled a couple of kidneys out.
I hope he's okay.
You've got to hear the whole discussion for all the details. And Jim Pruy digs himself out of the snow of the East Coast and gives us a Disney short report.
You may remember Jim Pruy from a couple episodes back in which he and Richard talked about growing up in Boston.
And how I buried him in a big snow heap and walked away. Yeah, Jim, I'm sorry.
Oh, and there's many more surprises. So come fly with us as we go skywalking through Neverland.
And we want to wish all of you Skywalkers in love a very special happy Valentine's Day.
Yay!
We had spent our first Valentine's Day at Disneyland.
Yeah, in fact, that was my first Valentine's Day ever with a guy.
Oh.
Ever. All my previous relationships had ended in January. Or I wasn't ever involved.
No.
I know. It was the classic, get through Christmas, get through the holidays, and then bam.
You guys are just bad news.
Cut and run. I know.
They're just bad news. Just stay away from them, okay?
I did, and then I found you.
Oh. This was in 2006.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we started dating just a couple of weeks beforehand.
Like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I took a half day off of work, my old 9-to-5 job. And I came down to Long Beach and met up with you, and we went to Disneyland.
We were still in the
lovey-dovey phase?
Lovey-dovey stage where we didn't define our relationship, and then you had said, "So what are you doing for Valentine's Day?"
Like a couple weeks before?
Yeah, and I had already assumed that we'd be still going out up until Valentine's Day.
Right.
Because on our first date, when we were starting to talk about John Williams, I knew you weren't going anywhere.
Our first date was January 23rd. So Valentine's Day was a mere, 3 weeks. Anyway.
So you took a half a day off of work, and we headed down to Disneyland.
Mm-hmm. That's where I wanted to spend the day.
And I made reservations at Steakhouse 55.
Yes. And I was super impressed when we were eating, and between each course, the waiter would take his little, scraper thing and scrape off the table. That just impressed me so much.
Yeah, all the crumbs?
Yes, the crumb catcher.
That was mainly on my side. I'm a messy eater.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I need a stack of napkins. Where Sarah may use a napkin maybe a napkin and a half. I need like a tree's worth of napkins when I eat.
Don't tell the tree huggers that.
Oh, we'll cut that part out.
Yeah. So after dinner, we had an early dinner. It was like 5 or 5:30. We went over to DCA, at least, Disney California Adventure. And I remember taking a picture by the Ferris wheel because I see those pictures now, and that's what I remember.
I had gone to Disneyland with other friends, but never had so much fun as when we went for Valentine's Day because I knew how much it meant to you.
Yeah.
So it just meant that much more to me.
Yeah. Yay. And we came home, and you gave me chocolates, and you gave me flowers. And after all these 23 years of not having a Valentine, all of a sudden, I had like the consummate Valentine's Day. It was amazing. Thank you.
Yes, I am amazing. You said it was amazing. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, speaking of Disney, we were just there a couple of nights ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes randomly, these annual pass holder special screenings or special things will pop up on the website or on Twitter, and you just have to be aware. At Disneyland Live is actually a really good Twitter to follow. So I follow that, and they tweet the latest news, one of which was there's going to be all these annual pass holder screenings in February, one of which we just went to. So each week on Wednesday and Thursday, they're going to have screenings of classic films like Beauty and the Beast was this week, Little Mermaid is next week, and Aladdin is the week after, and Lion King is the week after that. And these are like the 4 big Disney films that I saw growing up. So I'm super excited.
So we'll be attending 3 out of the 4.
Yes, because for the 4th one, we'll be at Disney World. So we'll concede that. So we went to Beauty and the Beast, and so you have to sign up and you have to get your wristband. So we got our wristbands, and it was kind of rainy. Actually, it was a rainy afternoon, so we were worried that they were going to cancel it because it was an outdoor screening under the stars.
You were checking on Twitter every 5 minutes to make sure there were no cancellation announcements.
Yeah, and so we go to the Big Thunder Ranch area, and
even when we got there at like 4:30, they still didn't know at that point if it was going to be canceled or not.
Exactly. But they still hadn't made the call, so everyone was holding out hope.
It was a light sprinkle.
Yeah.
People on the East Coast are laughing at us.
Yeah, pretty much.
For this light sprinkle.
We have our hats and our gloves and our jackets.
And parkas and curling up inside of a tauntaun.
Yeah. Anyway, but we go to the Big Thunder Ranch, and we walk in, and they check that we have our wristbands, and then we get handed a rose. Each of us get handed a rose, and then over to the...
A light-up rose.
A light-up rose. And then over to the left, you have your place where you get popcorn, and then you wait to get your hot cocoa or your coffee, and it's all free, because these are special screenings. It's really kind of nice. And we proceeded, and it was a sing-along. Yeah. So
for the first time, we got to see for me, I got to see what the actual lyrics to some of these songs are.
Yeah, actually, some of that stuff, like in Be Our Guest, I never knew some of those words. I was just singing what I thought I heard, but they turned out to be totally different than the actual words.
What is the song that Belle sings in the very beginning when she's walking through the town with the book?
Yeah, that's the Belle. It's introducing Belle and Gaston.
And she keeps saying the word provincial.
Yes, the provincial life. Yes, she says that 3 times.
Yeah, it just stuck out to me because I've heard that song a million times. I never knew what she was saying.
Really?
Never.
There must be more than this provincial life. Yeah.
And then before the screening, they had some kids come up on the stage.
That was funny. Yeah, they asked each child, "What's your favorite Disney movie and what's your favorite Disney princess?" Because they were pretty much all girls.
And when you put kids up in front of a large audience, their minds tend to freeze. So once the first child said Frozen, the next 5 kids said Frozen.
And Elsa was our favorite character.
Even the boys said it.
Yeah, that was funny. But it was very cute.
Yeah.
And they primed us for the movie.
In the movie Hostess,
yes,
she would tell everyone, okay, when you see the Beast, you gotta go, grrr.
Yeah.
When you see Belle, you've gotta go,
oh. And when you see Gaston, Oh, what do you have to do for
I
Gaston?
think you get a boo Gaston.
Yeah, boo, you boo, boo.
And then when you see the rose, everyone light up your rose and wave them in the sky.
Yeah, whenever you see the rose on screen, that was so fun.
Yeah, it was very Rocky Horror-ish.
Yeah, well, that was the classic melodrama. So that's what you do at melodrama plays.
Yeah, only unlike Rocky Horror, we didn't throw toilet paper or rice.
Yeah.
Well, I did.
Well, that's okay. So yeah, it was a sing-along. So during all the songs, everyone would be singing along. But then a couple people down from me thought the sing-along meant a talk-along. So they were like saying all the lines of dialogue.
And granted, they knew maybe 70% of the dialogue. So you're hearing the actual dialogue up on the screen, and they're messing up the dialogue.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well,
How
that's
far
okay.
into the movie do you get before you say, you know what? This is just a sing-along. It's not a dialogue along.
But, it was okay. I mean,
we're all
the
in
whole
the
experience
spirit, yeah.
overrid it.
Yeah.
And I just, as soon as the film started, I got like little chills of flashbacks from seeing it back in 5th grade when my mom took me opening day. I was waiting outside for her to pick me up at school. And she picked me up and whisked me off to the theater, and we saw Beauty and the Beast. I was like so excited to see this movie.
So you were 10 years old. Mm-hmm. Little 10-year-old Sarah.
I was so excited.
This is 1991.
Yeah. I had seen all the previews. The marketing really worked on me.
I was already living in LA and had a career. Slight age difference if you people out there did not know already. A slight age difference between Sarah and I.
Yeah, it's really funny in those years, the 90s. Anyway. So
we'll come back next week and give you our review / report of
Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid.
That's the next one I'm so excited to see. Just announced today, February 10th, on Disney Parks blog, Captain America will be available for a meet and greet at Disneyland come March 7th.
So now from the Avengers, you can go and meet Thor and Captain America.
Yay, and this takes place at Disneyland in the Innoventions building. And
That's the round building right next to Star Tours.
Yes, right next to that and the Pizza Planet. So, it's going to be in an exhibit entitled Captain America, the Living Legend and Symbol of Courage. In other words, Captain America meet and greet. So now, instead of just princesses, all of us girls can go meet Thor and Captain America in one place.
Yep. All right, I suddenly got less excited about this.
No, you should go audition, sweetie. You're a good Captain America lookalike.
I'm busy that Friday. Also in Disney news, there is a new Disney biopic in the works.
Is it biopic or biopic?
That's biopic.
What?
It's
really?
biopic, yes. Like biography and picture. Well, it's not just in the works, it's done. The film is going to hit theaters this spring.
Yeah, Yahoo Music states, award-winning country music artist Travis Tritt is set to narrate the independent Walt Disney biopic as Dreamers Do, for which he'll also contribute an original song titled That's What Dreamers Do. It was announced on Monday.
Now, starring as Walt Disney is YouTube star Olin Rogers.
Anybody know him?
Olin Rogers.
No.
But it's an independent film, so it's great that they're getting YouTube stars.
Yeah.
I mean, that pretty much defines independent flick.
That's true.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this will be hitting these theaters this spring. And a lot of people were down on Saving Mr. Banks because they didn't feel that Tom Hanks really gave a honest portrayal of Walt. Because, maybe Walt did have a dark side and didn't like certain ethnicities. So I'm very eager to see if this film is going to portray Walt as Walt really was.
Well, I think this is like Walt Disney growing up. So it's Walt Disney as a kid.
Well, you can't just
teenager.
stop it when he's like 13.
Eh.
So I'm very, very curious.
But I think this is the movie I saw a tweet about earlier that covers his life up until 1926 and the release of Steamboat Willie.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, without further ado, I think it's time to bring you Mouse Droid Mixer.
Be our guest.
Be our guest, put our service to the test. Tie your napkin, man your necessary, and we'll provide the rest. Soup du jour, hot hors d'oeuvres.
We are here talking to Steve Hous of Torpedo Comics. Now, Steve is a huge comic expert, and we wanted to get his insight on how well comics have translated into movies. Steve, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, not only have I been a comic collector since 1983, I've actually worked in the industry and selling comics since 1993. And I also recently became an overstreet advisor. So what they do is they take my information and I give them pricing and I let them know about the trends of the market. So I've got my finger on the pulse of the comic industry as a whole. And, I've been around for quite a while. People know that, I can be, intense on the subject and I do have things to say. And I really wanted to contribute. I had a lot to say about certain subjects that I thought the guide was wanting on. So they took me with open arms.
Which aspect of the comic industry do you think you excel at?
The vintage market, which means from the 1960s up to, maybe the early 1990s. But that's where my strength lies. And generally speaking, within that era, if someone comes to my booth and asks me a certain question about a certain back issue, be it the storyline or a character or monetary or financial advice, I can usually help them out.
How long have you been on the price guide?
This year was my first year that I actually was able to contribute.
Okay, meaning 2014, like you just...
2013.
2013,
okay. Was the year that I became a full member.
Nice.
And my first full article will be appearing in this year's, or next year's, we should say, this year's guide.
Now, you and I and a bunch of friends had a very heated discussion the other night, which I thought this is definitely got to be on the podcast. We started talking about how superheroes have made the transition from comic books into the movies. And you had lots to say about that. Now, where should we start?
Well, basically, if you start at the beginning of Hollywood and the movies getting interested in comics and comic characters and licenses, you had to go back to the granddaddy of them all, which is the Superman film, the Christopher Reeve version, which came out in 1978.
Woohoo!
Now, do you think that the transition from comic book to the Superman movie was very true to the source?
Well, excuse me, the director, I think it's Richard Donner,
yes,
of that movie is a huge Superman fan. I mean, he just drips it. So what he did was he took the source material and he labored over the origin. He basically took it step by step, word for word, didn't shake the boat, didn't do anything out of the ordinary. And obviously, as a director, some directors can, they can move aside and say, I think my vision is better. He didn't do that. He basically laid out the comic book origin for us in on the movie screen. Mm-hmm. So he was someone who loved it. Now, of course, for Superman 2, I don't know all the details, but obviously he got, fired from the project or whatever it was. And after that, other people came on with their vision of what's going on. But they couldn't really go too far afield with Superman at that time. And so basically the template was already set. And I think at that time, directors I don't think they would have dared say, oh, I'm going to change it. He's just going to have a black suit and he's going to be very angry. At that time, I don't think that would have happened.
Now, there was going to be a Superman in the mid-90s starring Nicolas Cage.
What?
And they were going to have him being in a clear suit. Now, I admit I'm not a big follower of a lot of comic book series.
Clear suit.
But I know Nicolas Cage even named his son
Kal-El. Yes.
Yes. What was up with this clear suit? Is that something from the comics, or is that something that they had made up?
If they had dared come out with that clear suit without the traditional colors, I don't even think it would have got past the editing stage. Of course, and this was before Twitter and Facebook. But back then, I think that it would have just been a complete mess. And we can thank our lucky stars that it never got off the ground.
There wasn't that many movies in the 90s that centered around superheroes. the next big film was the X-Men in 2000. Are you a big follower of the X-Men?
I don't read the X-Men comics anymore. I actually stopped reading X-Men comics in the year 2000. The comic universe of the X-Men and the various mutant titles was ridiculously massive, and I couldn't follow it anymore.
Right.
So that gave me, an opportune moment whenever I watched the film to look at something with fresh eyes. I wasn't too close to the subject, but I did know that Wolverine was the star immediately. And I thought, wow, the way they got Wolverine is fantastic. And it was rather refreshing not to be the one ranting and raving about how certain things weren't done right. I sat there, enjoyed the film with a smile, and then when I came out to talk to others, and then I felt sorry for the people who were too close to the subject, and I allowed them to rant, and I just listened and thought, oh, okay. But no, I like the X-Men. In fact, I love all three of the X-Men movies.
So when you talk to your friends, how close did the film stay true to the comic book?
Well, they I think they took about 50%, really. They took the characterization of Magneto and Professor Xavier, and they got that down pat, pretty close. They borrowed some certain stuff. I mean, they had a little sequence in there with Sabretooth, which, of course, in recent years they've retconned out. I didn't understand why Sabretooth wasn't talking in the film. He was like growling. I don't know when he became a human bear. So obviously that had nothing to do with the comics or the way that Sabretooth's character had been portrayed in the comics. But generally speaking, what they did was they squeezed about 30 years of certain characterizations into that 2-hour film. They borrowed certain bits and pieces.
Do you know how close they stayed with the Wolverine character?
Wolverine, they were about right. They didn't really give you any backstory right there to begin with, which was what they did in the comics. And at that time in the comics, there wasn't really much known. And the way the character was portrayed was perfect.
Now, I know in the comic series, Wolverine's a little guy.
Of course, and my main worry when it first came out was like, oh, wait a minute, he's only supposed to be 5'6". And then I stepped back for myself and said to myself, all right, let's not be so analytical here. Let's just see what the actor can do. But Wolverine stole the show for that movie. So after that, I didn't care that that he's a little bit tall.
Yeah, I think Hugh Jackman, he really identifies with that character, and so it just he became Wolverine.
Oh, I agree 100%. In fact, right now, I can't imagine anyone else doing it.
Yeah, me either.
I want him to do another 10 movies.
So then along came the mega hit of Spider-Man in 2002. How close did this film series stay to the comic book series?
Well, once again, the director was a massive Spider-Man fan.
Sam Raimi?
Yes, he adores Spider-Man, adores the history of the character, and obviously read many of the originals when he was younger, and that dripped through into the story. He kept every single element that's important to Peter Parker. He made him a nerdy person at the start. The powers were almost the same. The only thing that they didn't do, of course, was in the comics, Peter Parker created the web spinners himself because he was a young scientist, and in the movies they just had the web fluid coming out of his arms. But I didn't want to get too analytical about it. The fact that his origin basically stayed the same with the burglar, that was great. I mean, what else can you really do? I mean, you would have had to have been crazy to come as their director and say, this is the first Spider-Man film we're going to get, and I'm going to change the origin. With that was perfect. The Green Goblin, the only thing they changed, of course, was the costume. They modernized it, giving it the Batman bodysuit look.
I hated that costume. I hated it. The fact that you could see right through the lens of the mask, it tore me up.
Well, I do have some friends who literally gnashed their teeth down to nubs when they saw the new costume. And, at that time, trying to be the mature one, I would always say, well, come on, they couldn't come out with that little cloth hat that he used. You know,
I was so hoping they would.
I would have liked it, but the general populace would have probably looked at each other in the cinema going, whoa, why is anyone scared of this guy? He's got like weird booty sock things on, and he's got...
I wanted to see the Mego action toy. That's what I wanted to see. I would have been right there front and center.
Yes, and I agree. There would have probably been a group of people right there with you who would be very happy. But, you know, obviously the movies have to appeal to a wider audience. And so they made obviously during the character designs, they said, okay, but they went with that, suit. And, of course, William Dafoe did a great job. I mean, he really did a great job as far as I was concerned. The only disappointment being is that they killed him at the end of the film, which was most annoying.
Okay, why do they keep doing that? Why do they kill off, spoiler, the Joker at the end of Batman? Why did they kill off, spoiler, the Penguin at the end of Batman Returns? Why do they keep killing off these top-tier villains?
Well, I've thought about that question and that subject for quite a bit. And my theory is that the suits and ties and the people who are in control of these franchises are saying, well, we can't plan for long events. Let's just put everything into this film. And then if we don't do another film, whatever. So let's just have everything in this one film, throw everything in there and have a nice ending and kill the villain because there might not be another film.
Is that why they cram like 3 villains in one film?
Well, of course, unfortunately, that's what happened with Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, they killed the Green Goblin. They killed Dr. Octopus, which was a fantastic film. Again, I think short-sightedness. And I think if someone went in there and said, well, wait a minute, why can't Dr. Octopus come back after spending an hour building his character up to a certain point? Why do this? However, as we all know, when the Batman franchise began again, they didn't kill the Joker.
No.
And I after that film ended, I was like, well done. Someone was listening, someone was watching and said, no, we're not going to kill the Joker because he can keep coming back again and again and again. Unfortunately, of course, the actor, passed away. But that was, I think, the template right there for the future. Don't kill your villains.
They should have taken guidance from the first Superman when Superman brings Lex Luthor to jail. That's a perfect ending. You don't need to kill him. Just bring him to jail. We'll root for you.
I agree with you 100%, and I'm hoping... Well, I think it's working because Loki didn't die in Avengers, so he's still going.
Now, is there any film that you had seen that you were just grinding your fingers into the seat in front of you because they're just not staying true to the comic series?
Well, unfortunately...
Here we go.
There is a prime example
Bring it on.
of a film where I literally ripped my kidneys out. Because I'm a Fantastic Four fanatic. I'm very close to the books. I still read it up to the current day. I've read every single story back to the original 1961 issue 1. Very close to it. So for them to pull off a movie, it would have to be fantastic. So what I thought to myself was, okay, I'm going to try to pull back and not be so analytical, just impress me. As soon as I saw Dr. Doom with those weird electrical powers like Electro from Spider-Man, I thought, what is going on here? Who is this? Is this Dr. Doom? And secondly, why do we keep seeing his face? I don't know who was in control of that whole franchise. They didn't have a clue. And that film, the agony that it put on me was incredible. And then for I think about a year after that film, I actually forbade people from talking about it around me because I don't need any more gray hair. It was so bad. It really put a downer on it for me. So yeah, the Fantastic Four, both 1 and 2, And actual fact, I've got a clever little bit of inside information about the Rise of the Silver Surfer, the Fantastic Four 2.
Oh, let us have it.
About a year before the film came out, we had a guy come up to our booth at WonderCon. And my partner, John, said, oh, I know, this guy's working on the Silver Surfer film. And I was like, oh, so I quickly stopped what I was doing and walked over and said, wow, so you're doing the Silver Surfer? And he nodded his head. And I said, well, are you doing the origin? And he goes, well, we're touching it. I said, have you read the origin sequences? And he looked at me as if I was from another planet. He had no idea what I was talking about. And I thought to myself, he doesn't know who the Silver Surfer is. And he's working on the movie. So I backed away. I was like, I don't want to get involved too much in this conversation because he doesn't know what's going on. And of course, as when the film came out, we didn't get much of an origin sequence. There was no reason given. There was no sadness and pathos, which was an integral part of the original character. And don't even talk about Galactus, that weird cloud thing that was, it was like, oh, whoopee-doo.
What about the new upcoming Fantastic Four film? What do you think about that?
Well, I pulled one kidney out for the first one. And unfortunately, after news began to spread of the second one, I quickly dove in and pulled that one out. So I'm kidneyless right now.
So I guess they're not staying true to this comic book series?
They don't seem to have any idea what they're doing. And funny you should mention it, but yesterday someone showed me a picture of the actor that's going to be playing Reed Richards. Like a 12-year-old boy. And I'm thinking, what is going on there? Reed Richards has to have a certain amount of stature. He's a successful scientist that's sort of weathered, knows what he's doing. So why you would go with a young boy for that character immediately tells me that they don't care about the original Fantastic Four franchise, which, of course, for all comic fans, we know has been in publication since 1961. Now, the most controversial aspect, of course, of the characters that are going to play here is that they're going to make, apparently, the Human Torch African-American.
Wait a minute, what?
Yes. Apparently, the Human Torch is going to be African-American.
Was he African-American in the Ultimate Fantastic Four comics?
No, this seems to
Then
be
what's up?
something that's happening. Now, I don't know whether it is confirmed or whether it's just a silly rumor that's gained some sort of, traction. But on every single website you go to, including, Newsarama or comic book resources, you'll see articles and blogs talking about this prospect as if it's moving forward. Now, basically what that means is that the original family dynamic of the Fantastic Four will be broken up because obviously the Human Torch and Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, are brother and sister. So does that mean that...
Wait a minute.
I know it sounds funny. It sounds insane. But does that mean that he's adopted now? I don't know.
Oh, boy. And now I heard, we hate talking about rumors on Skywalking Through Neverland because it's just not worth it. But something that just popped up is that Josh Gad was going to be playing the Thing.
That's something I saw yesterday for the first time as well. I took a look at him. I think they're going for that sorrowful Bruce Banner type character with the glasses, for the Thing. Now, obviously, the Thing's characterization from the original series was a gruff ex-pilot who served in the war and was as tough as nails. I don't know if they're going to go for, the sensitive, I'm a monster, get me some tissue. I don't know.
Well, Josh Gad is more of the bumbling fool. That's more of his character type, like in 1600 Pen, like in even Frozen, where he played Olaf the Snowman, and even in a Book of Mormon.
The bumbling, lovable idiot.
Yeah.
I think someone's sitting there at Sony looking at all the options and saying, well, why don't we do this and why don't we do that? And no one is sitting there in the office saying, whoa, calm down. Let's pull back from this. let's take a look at the source material. It seems that no one's doing that. But there could be a fear or a theory that the original source material will not work on a contemporary audience.
Now, when we were talking last week, I brought up a film, and I saw 3 blood vessels burst in your head, and that was Thor. I don't know how many blood vessels someone has in their head, but I saw 3 just burst out of your head. So what do you think about Thor?
Well, once again, I can be accused of being too close to the subject matter. I love the Thor comics. So when the film was first, being talked about, I had some fears. And I thought, well, this is going to be tricky, but let's see what they can do. Of course, the lead actor playing Thor is a great Thor.
Chris Hemsworth.
Yes. I think he does a great job.
I think so too.
Yeah, he's so fun.
He does have a lot of female fans, I have realized.
He could use another workout or two.
No, I think he's good.
Yeah,
I think he's good, sweetie.
Yeah, he's all right.
So I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere here. However, Loki. Loki is an incredibly powerful character. And even without any assistance from Thanos or anyone else, he is more than a match for any single human everywhere. He just would snap his fingers and people would drop down dead. However, in the movies, there he is doing hand-to-hand combat. And this is the god of mischief. This is someone that spent his entire thousands of years' life, not engaging in hand-to-hand conflict because he's too powerful. He doesn't need to do that. But we're led to believe in the Avengers movie that, he needs that staff of, energy to get things done. It was given to him apparently by Thanos. So he's holding on to this, staff. They take the staff away from him, and so he's walking around the shield helicarrier as if he's helpless. So that's a sort of thing that, really annoyed me tremendously.
Well, what did you think of the Hulk bashing around Loki in the Avengers?
Again, I'm a massive Hulk fan. I've even got a Hulk tattoo on my arm. I've always loved the Hulk.
I like that part.
In the cinema, during that scene, people were screaming with laughter. It went down extremely well. Everyone I've spoken to loves that scene, especially when Loki's lying there, with his body in the ground and he's like, oh, everyone's laughing. Well, I hate to say it in real life, but in the comics, Loki, he wouldn't allow the Hulk to touch him. He would just, move to another section. He would go, well, why are you trying to grab me? You're just a stupid monster. I am a god. I'm the god of, mischief. I'm the ultimate trickster. What you think you're grabbing isn't really here.
Right.
So he could make the Hulk look like a fool. So basically what you had there was the director who knows this. Joss Whedon is also a Marvel fanatic. He knows in the real world that Loki would have never allowed the Hulk to grab him. But for cinematic effect, you have that scene where he's smashing Loki around like a rag doll. So I didn't like that.
Now, the one thing that really bothered me about the Thor films, and I loved the Thor films. I love that character. But why did he never wear his helmet but for 3 minutes in the first film? What happened to his helmet?
Well,
so you could see his face and his flowing hair?
I want to see the helmet. That's part of the costume. It's like Batman without his cape.
Well, I agree with you 100%. I think that the suits and ties, people in positions of power, basically when the character designs came up, were fearful of people's reaction to that full flamboyant costume. So they said, well, you can have him in there sometimes, but let's put him, in more civilian clothes so that people can relate to him.
Or let's just take off his shirt completely.
Yes.
As long as he's wearing his helmet, that's fine.
Okay.
So again, I try to pull back and not be so harsh and analytical and go, okay, let's not try and, ruin the whole film over small things like that.
I'm just not going to stop harping on this because I loved Thor's helmet. Same with Captain America. Kept taking off his helmet. They put that back on. I want to see that.
I kind of like Captain America without his helmet. Even when you dress as Captain America, I like it without the helmet.
I know they're paying for these actors, so they want to see their face, these pretty boy faces. I understand that.
Well, it's funny you should bring up Captain America because there's two different experiences there that I think I mentioned at the other night. One with me and one with my wife. Now, Luce watched the film and she loved it. She sat there, enjoyed it, liked the way the actor looked, especially when his shirt was off. So that was great, because she'd never read a Captain America comic in her life. So she left the film with a satisfying feeling and saying, you know what? I want to see Captain America in more movies. I like him. So in the Avengers, I like Captain America. That means that the film succeeded in attracting someone who's never looked at a comic in their life. So I give them kudos for that. However, for me, I was like, okay, we have Captain America. He's not wearing the uniform that I really remembered. And secondly, the Red Skull's not really acting the way that I think the Red Skull should act. I was generally, I gave the Captain America film 5 out of 10. Mm. So I left sort of like, okay, you didn't really give me what I wanted. I've got high hopes for the second film now that they've got all the origin sequence out the way. Yeah. And I think the new film's opening, is it next month or next 2 months?
April 4th.
Now, I've been holding out and looking at any kind of publicity photos for Winter Soldier because I don't want to see the Falcon. Because I'm so stuck on wanting to see the old red and white costume.
You know they're going to update it.
I know they're going to update it. Now, do you think I should prepare myself beforehand and see the costume, or should I wait until I see the movie to see the costume?
That's a tough question. Yeah, I think you should look at the costume now.
Oh no!
Get your mind set for it.
All right, Sarah's pulling it up right now. You convinced me. I did want to wait until the movie came out, but judging by your answer, I should prepare myself right now. All right, Sarah, do you have it up?
Yeah, you're not going to like it.
Oh, no. All right, here we go, and...
I think it's this.
What is that?
I think it's the same type of bodysuit that became famous during the Batman movies.
That looks like the Vulture from Spider-Man.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, you know what? I'm so happy you prepared me now. Because if I had gone to the movies and seen that, I would have been tearing out my kidneys.
Yes, and we don't need that going on.
Now, let's cut to present day, and the new controversy over Avengers 2, The Age of Ultron. And in the comic book series, Ant-Man had created Ultron. But now they're going to make it that maybe Iron Man had developed Ultron.
Again, it shows a lack of respect for the original source material. And it's something I've come across quite a lot in regards to Hollywood people and comic people. Hollywood people tend to think that, I don't do that little cartoony stuff. I work in the real world, the big world. And those little cartoony people, I don't know. What they don't realize is those cartoony people, had to create a universe every month, going on and gain sales, or they were going to get fired. They had to be skillful, clever, imaginative.
And fast.
And none of that is taken into account by, certain Hollywood people. So they'll look at the source material and go, oh, well, I would have done this different and it would have probably been far better. And unfortunately, it seems that the Marvel Universe and the writers from the original Marvel Universe, because, by the way, the writer who created Ultron is a guy called Roy Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting a basically short shift, really. And I think it's just, again, a pompous attitude by a lot of the Hollywood people who say, well, I'm going to bring in my scriptwriter. My scriptwriter worked on, The Color Purple, so I think he's perfect for Ultron. And it's like, oh, really? Okay. So, yeah, that's why I think that's possibly happening. Now, as to it'll work because, Tony Stark is, a scientist on par with Reed Richards. He's definitely capable of creating, sentient, technology. It's not too far of a stretch. Mm-hmm. And I think for people who aren't that close to the material, they won't know and they won't care.
Mm.
Yeah, you're right. But I think this would have been a perfect bridge into the Ant-Man film. And I think they lost an opportunity there because no one really knows who Ant-Man is. And this would have given him so much clout had he been in Avengers 2.
Yeah, I agree. It would definitely be far superior to bring Ant-Man in, showcase his skills in the film, and then allow people to go and say, oh, you know what? I'm going to go watch the Ant-Man film.
Right.
But unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's happening.
Mm.
Yeah. Can people get a hold of you on social media?
Yeah, how can we get...
Well, basically, I do have a Facebook page related to my business. It's Torpedo Comics at Facebook, and that's where they can see exactly what I do during the day.
Oh, great.
And they can contact me through there.
Or see you at Comic-Con.
Okay, yes. I'll be at booth 815 at Comic-Con.
Yes. Steve, thank you very, very much for your insight into the comic book world. Much appreciated. I feel like I'm now well-versed into seeing the summer movies.
No problem at all. I look forward to another podcast, and I'm sure with all the stuff that's going on, it'll be quite soon.
I have an army. We have a Hulk.
We want to thank everyone for sharing Skywalking Through Neverland with a friend and also commenting on our Facebook page about things you like and commenting on the stories that we've done.
As an example of a shout out we got on Facebook, Kenny Crayley Jr. posted on our Skywalking Through Neverland page about Disney Infinity, and he also mentioned that our podcast is awesome.
Oh, thanks, Kenny.
Yeah.
We really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It's good to know that people are enjoying all this work that we're putting into it, and it's a labor of love. So we'll keep doing it if just one person is listening. But it's good to know that people are listening and enjoying.
And we also got a tweet from @JohnnyMac308, and he just said, @SkywalkingPod, you guys are awesome. So thank you, Johnny Mac.
Thank you, Johnny Mac. And like always, we are a podcast that spotlights you, the fan. If you're a fan filmmaker, you write fan fiction, you're a cosplayer, well, we want to see what you're doing and share it with the rest of the fan community.
So keep sharing and liking. That just keeps us going, gives us fuel for the fire.
Sarah and I had spent 3 years making our Star Wars fan film, TPZ, which is TMZ in the Star Wars universe. So we're going to play for you now a clip from our film TPZ. And if you have a fan film that you want us to focus on, then we'll play a clip from your fan film as well as showcase it on our website and Facebook page.
And also, if you'd like to interview and just tell us a little bit about the making of process and stuff, we are absolutely open for that.
Because we are working on a new segment coming up about the making of fan films.
Ooh, exciting.
So we definitely want to hear from you, want to hear your stories about your making of your fan films, whether it's Star Wars or Disney.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many creative people out there that we want to showcase you.
And fan films are just an awesome way of doing it. It's taking that world and making it your own.
And if you like that clip, you can also access TPZ from the very front page of our website, skywalkingthroughneverland.com.
So here is a clip of TPZ.
So it looks like the galaxy has a new it couple. Luke Skywalker, the guy who just blew up the Death Star, and Senator turned rebel leader, Princess Leia Organa.
Wait, that's the senator from Alderaan, right?
Not anymore.
Oh.
Well, I think they make a cute couple.
Frankly, I could see her with this guy. Han Solo, another hero of the rebellion. Don't you think these two look like they could be related? Almost like brother and sister?
Is Luke Skywalker related to Princess Leia Organa? Is Princess Leia Organa related to Luke Skywalker? Let's find out by climbing their family trees. Let's see. Luke Skywalker is the nephew of Owen Lars, who was the son of Klieg Lars, who was the third cousin to C.O. Bibble, who was the uncle of Mr. He Doesn't Like You.
who was the college roommate of Mickey Mouse, who was a distant friend of Cad Bane, who once went to the opera with Baron Papanoida, who once sat next to a gong droid on a Star Tour Star Speeder. Princess Leia is the daughter of Bail Organa, who flew with Captain Ramus Antilles, who once shook hands with that Cloud City ice cream guy, who used to enjoy a glass of blue milk, which was served by Dexter Jetster, who once had a dream about Yaddle, who just happened to be on a mailing list sent out by Headbanger Harry here, who babysat for Savaggio Press, who was besties with that TPZ camera droid, who co-owned the Star Trader with Jedi Tink, who occasionally said hello to Fake Wedge on a Star Tour Star Speeder. So the answer is maybe. Probably? I don't know.
Is this Luke Skywalker related to Anakin Skywalker, the Jedi from way back when in the Clone Wars?
Well, that's a good question. A new twist has been revealed to us that Skywalker might not be his last name. An insider at the Mos Eisley Public Records Office recently revealed that he just changed it from Starkiller.
Maybe Anakin's last name is Starkiller.
Well, whatever happened to him?
Well, it's rumored that he married Senator Padme Amidala in a secret ceremony on Naboo. They managed to keep it quiet for years, but it's also rumored that she got pregnant, and by the end of the Clone Wars, she gave birth to!
Well, I guess they don't want us talking about the Clone Wars or anything to do with... Okay, let's just delete this one.
We are here talking to our East Coast correspondent, Jim Pruy, as he reviews the 1938 Donald Duck film, The Fox Hunt.
Donald Duck and Goofy in this one.
Donald Duck and Goofy on Disney's Short Report. All right, so what can you tell us about The Fox Hunt?
Well, first off, let me thank you guys for getting me back into Disney again. I've been a fan of old cartoons since I was a kid, when my dad used to take me to a coffee house / movie theater in Central Square called the Off the Wall Cinema and Cafe.
Oh.
So on Sundays they used to have, they'd show old cartoons. And this is where I saw, I was introduced to so many cartoons. Of course, they play Disney, and the cartoon I'm actually reviewing today was probably shown at Off the Wall. It's Disney's The Fox Hunt. Co-starring Donald Duck, Donald Fauntleroy Duck, and Goofy Goof, otherwise known as. And this, The Fox Hunt was released in July of 1938, was directed by Ben Sharpstein, who would later direct Pinocchio in 1940 and Dumbo in 1941.
Wow.
Donald Duck was such a huge star in the late 30s that Disney, in an attempt to keep the storylines coming, started looking at their old catalog of cartoons to see if there was any old cartoon that could be remade or revamped with Donald in mind. There was an original Fox Hunt that was released in 1931, 7 years before the movie I'm reviewing, under the Silly Symphony series. So Ben Sharpstein would wind up paying a great tribute to the original when he recreated many scenes for his 1938 version, including the end scene where a skunk is pulled out of a log instead of a fox.
Wah, wah, wah.
For a nice little
now,
exactly.
In the original Silly Symphonies Fox Hunt, was Donald in that one or not?
No, they had kind of like very cartoony aristocrats riding horses and shooting guns and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it was in black and white. The Fox Hunt with Donald and Goofy, the action begins with Donald leading the charge as he tries to wrangle about a half dozen bloodhounds to little to no effect. It's really quite absurd on many levels, first of which is that Donald is being thrown around like a rag doll. All of the bloodhounds causing him much frustration and annoyance. And you certainly don't want to annoy Donald, because as we all know, Mr. Fauntleroy's temper is nothing to trifle with.
No.
He is the original Angry Bird.
Nice.
There's little to no fuse going on there whatsoever. So all I can say is that in 1938, when Clarence Nash was still in the early days of perfecting his Donald Duck voice, it's probably a good thing that you couldn't really hear what he was saying, because I'm sure the censors would have had a field day deleting all the explicitives. On one level, it kind of takes away from it a little bit, because you know, he'll say something and you wish, wow, I kind of wish I heard what he said there. But on the other hand, it's very chaotic, and I think great just how he lets the quack, 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 quack thing fly to uncontrollable heights as he's portraying this duck getting incredibly annoyed with whatever situation he's in at the moment.
Right.
What I found amusing is that the dogs pull Donald into water and wrap around a tree like in the middle of the water, and Donald's all flustered and annoyed. It's like, but you're a duck.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you like water?
Yeah, there was a lot of kind of curiosities about the situation that this duck was in, because typically the duck is the one that's being hunted.
Yeah, I was thinking, in what world is a duck hunting a fox?
Yes, exactly.
I was reminded a lot of Bugs Bunny in this.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure which one came first, but there was a lot of Donald chasing the fox into a hole, and the fox would come out another hole until the very end, when we have two twists.
Well, a cartoon can always just dispense with logic at any moment that it so chooses. So it just made for a nice kind of psychedelic ballet to have this one fox turn into about a dozen foxes going in different directions. I thought the twist you were maybe referring to was the fact that at first in the movie, you see these kind of riders on horses in silhouette, and they're really not made too clear who they are until the very end, where you see that it's actually Mickey Mouse is also participating in the fox hunt.
Yeah,
So,
I never would picture Mickey Mouse to be a fox hunter.
No.
He's more the one to try to keep the peace.
But are they, this is what I have to call the question, are they actually hunting? Because, you know, when they cut to Goofy, he's supposed to be one of the hunters, and his horse, whose name is Horsecollar, actually the horse that Goofy was on is a reoccurring character.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that until I was researching this. But when Horace throws Goofy off of the horse, because the horse is too shy to actually jump over hedges or do stuff like that, and that makes for great comedy. But once Goofy has been thrown off the horse...
Now this is billed as a Donald and Goofy story, but Goofy doesn't really do a whole lot in this.
No, Goofy is just... he's used as a cutaway scene.
Yeah.
And we're always kind of checking in on him and his horse, who, like I said before, is very, you know, the wrong horse to be going hunting with, because it's too afraid to jump over the water. And it seems like every time we cut back to Goofy, he's trying to get back into his saddle, but to no avail. But, you know, just kind of talking about how, Disney presents the fox hunt, and it's in beautiful color, and the all the stills are beautifully painted. They're really lush, and you just want to kind of run in there and be in that world a little bit. And you know, the musical score, the soundtrack is, you know, it's flawless, because it's meticulously constructed so that it complements the various nuances of the story. Really, probably setting the bar for a lot of Warner Brothers, Bugs Bunny stuff that would later follow. Mm-hmm. And still in 38, it's still pretty early on in the game. But, you know, despite wanting it to be more edgy, to be more like my favorite cartoons, which are like Popeye the Sailor and Betty Boop, you know, that being said about it not being edgy enough, I was still pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed Disney's production of the Fox Hunt. And I give it big props for the dreamy and otherworldly environments that are achieved throughout. And of course, the great laughs that are achieved at Donald and Goofy's expense. At some point when I was reading up on Walt Disney himself, I came to realize that he was a huge fan of vaudeville comedy. And I think a lot of these cartoons borrow gags that were, kind of had become the staples in vaudeville comedy.
Right. Now, where was this shown? Was this shown theatrically when it first came out in 1938?
I would imagine that it's a 7-minute cartoon. It probably was something that would be shown before a feature.
Yeah, maybe this was preceded by a newsreel.
Yeah, a lot of shorts. Yeah, exactly. Were
followed by a Disney cartoon, followed by a PSA telling people not to use their cell phones in the theater.
But I had a great time kind of going back and kind of focusing on Disney because, like I was saying, Popeye was really my main go-to all these years. But it was kind of going back and rediscovering Disney and actually feeling bad that I hadn't done it sooner because it's such iconic stuff that it almost, you take it for granted a little bit. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah, that's why we wanted to do this new segment, just so we could reappreciate all these forgotten Disney classics.
And Donald is such a great character. I had forgotten how great his acting range was. As it turns out, he's one of the great dramatic actors for Disney, acting sweet and looking doughy-eyed into the camera 1 minute and then turning into Tony Montana from Scarface the next.
Yeah, I think Alec Guinness would often cite Donald Duck as his greatest mentor.
That's amazing.
Now, did you find any kind of fun tidbits when you were researching this? Any Easter eggs?
Well, I mean, just talking about Donald a little bit more and a connection that I didn't make before I started researching all this stuff, which is that Donald wears kind of the sailor uniform, and that's also Popeye's costume that he wears.
Interesting.
So who was the original sailor? Donald?
Exactly.
Or Popeye?
I think it might have been Popeye. From what I could gather, Max Fleischer was a really big influence on Walt Disney. And it seemed like Max was in there first and kind of Walt followed behind and set out his empire accordingly to what Max was doing.
All right there, Jim. Any other fun facts you want to let us know about?
Yeah, in the end, it was very satisfying to delve into both versions of the Fox Hunt, both the 38 and, 31 version.
Yes.
I really felt like I was watching the original comedic template of what other animators and filmmakers would refer to when they would make their versions of the Fox Hunt. Everyone from Hanna-Barbera to Warner Brothers to Bill Murray trying to catch gophers on the golf course in Caddyshack all owes something to Disney for the trailblazing efforts that were achieved.
All right, Jim. Well, thank you very much, and we look forward to your next Disney short report.
Thanks, Rich and Sarah.
Thank you. Bye.
Edit R2.
Star Wars is everywhere.
My name, is C-3PO.
Kellogg's C-3POs.
Oh no! Detonation!
Who?
I'm a teenager from outer space.
Last week on our not-so-vintage video segment, we played the clip from The Big Bang Theory where Carrie Fisher and James Earl Jones had guest starring spots, and I had made an analogy to a show from 1997 through 2003 called Just Shoot Me, starring David Spade. And it was pointed out from Marco Gushewitz that we didn't also show the clip from Just Shoot Me.
Yeah, he wanted to see that clip.
So I thought, I don't know why I didn't. So we're going to play first a clip where Mark Hamill is sitting in a coffee shop, and David Spade comes in and just fanboys all over him. And now here it is. Just shoot me. This is episode number 8 in season 3, titled The List.
Hey.
You remember me?
Well, should I?
The 91 Sci-Fi Convention in Albany. You signed my Stormtrooper helmet.
Well, that was a long time ago.
At a convention far, far away.
Listen, friend.
Dennis.
Okay, whatever.
Dennis.
Fine. Listen, Dennis.
Yes, Mark.
Look, I don't want to be rude, and obviously you're a big fan, and hey, that's just great. But, see, I'm with an old friend here, and, well, his grandmother just died.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. It's always hard to lose a loved one. Hey, speaking of death, do you think the Death Star would have broken the Rebel Alliance if Luke hadn't destroyed it?
I don't know.
I mean, if you had to guess.
I don't want to guess. Look, I'm busy.
Oh, of course. I understand you're spending time with a friend.
Right.
Again, my condolences. Must be very painful. But not as painful as when Darth Vader chopped off your hand, am I right?
Now, this is the twist where Mark Hamill comes up to David Spade's work and fanboys all over him. And, well, just watch and see.
Hey! There you are!
Hey.
So what you doing? Eating ice cream?
Yes, I'm eating ice cream.
Hey, didn't you say you worked in an ice cream parlor when you were a kid?
Yes.
What kind of hat did you wear? Was it like a baseball cap or one of those paper jobs?
I don't know.
Who decides the flavor of the month?
I don't know.
What if somebody came in and asked for a free sample of every flavor and put it in a cone they brought from home?
I don't know.
How could you not know?
That's it. I don't want to talk about ice cream. What is your problem? You follow me around all day asking stupid questions, acting all psycho? You're driving me crazy.
You see?
See what?
You see how it is for me? Having no privacy, having total strangers want to be your best friend and ask you stupid questions all day? It's not too much fun, is it?
Wait, you did this all week to, like, teach me a lesson?
That's right.
So you're not really crazy?
Of course not.
In that case, did Chewbacca speak a real language?
Oh, God.
Because in the Wookiee dictionary, the verbs don't match. Is the Force still with you? Is Skywalker Ranch really a ranch?
So that was the clip I was talking about where Mark Hamill was going to David Spade's work and fanboying all over him, doing to him what fanboys do to Mark Hamill all the time. And you get that big aha moment with the twist. And I thought The Big Bang Theory was going to do the same thing with James Earl Jones hanging out with Sheldon all day. I thought there was going to be some kind of a fun fanboy twist, but there wasn't. No,
we just got to see James Earl Jones riding a Ferris wheel.
And sitting in a steam room with Sheldon.
Oh, yeah, that was... Yes, we did.
They could have used he and Carrie Fisher in a much, much better way. But, you know.
Oh, well. At least we got to see them.
That's true. Moving right along.
Well, after the Olympic ceremonies, which I counted down for, it's time to count down for another event coming up.
You all know it. You all love it. You all can't wait for it. It is Star Wars Celebration Anaheim.
Ew.
Now, as of February the 10th, there is, drumroll please, 428 more days.
Ooh.
There hasn't really been much news for Star Wars Celebration Anaheim.
No. But come April, it'll be the year anniversary.
Yeah, that's true.
Exciting.
That's very, very true.
Yay. And Star Wars Episode 7, 676 days away.
As of February the 10th.
Yes.
Almost here.
Almost. But now, Star Wars Rebels, there's exciting news on that front.
There still isn't a date
No.
that's been released. However, in the beginning, they kept saying coming in the summertime. Then they said it was the fall.
Mm-hmm.
But every time we had talked about Rebels on Skywalking Through Neverland, I always said coming this summer. And then I realized, did I make a mistake? Is it coming out this fall? No, I could have sworn it was summertime. So now the recent news is it is going to be this summer.
They have proved you correct.
Yes, once again,
Mm-hmm.
I'm correct. Now, Jedi News UK got their hands on a company shareholder letter that reveals that the series is scheduled to launch this summer as a Disney Channel movie. In the letter, it was said, "We're introducing Star Wars Rebels to television audiences this summer with a movie and a series of shorts on Disney Channel, followed by a continuing series on Disney XD."
What's funny about this is Disney Channel movie. I equate that to like those music, like the Disney musicals. What is like High School Musical and stuff? It's a Disney Channel movie.
Ever equate Star Wars Rebels to High School Musical.
It's just
It
so
is not
funny.
Sarah, it is not a musical.
I know it's not a musical. I'm just saying that if you say Disney Channel movie, you think of those teeny bopper kind of things, and I think that's why everyone or a lot of people on Facebook are like, Disney's gonna ruin Star Wars, but you know they're not going to. It's just that people equate certain things with certain channels.
So it'll be in a lineup with Camp Rock and Jonas Brothers Live, and I mean, I don't know those names. I don't know who those people are.
We don't even have kids.
Yeah, okay, moving right along. Oh, and then 6 pieces of Star Wars Rebel patriotic art were sent out to 2,500 people. 2 of them were not us.
No, they weren't.
Yeah. And select media outlets, once again not us, promoting the noble intentions and work of the Empire. These propaganda posters look to recruit into the Imperial forces as they move away from the manufactured clones.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of the Russian propaganda with their stark colors and their angular shapes.
Yep. Yeah, the red and black, the heavy, bold red, black, white colors. In fact, in art school, one of my first assignments was recreating one of these Russian posters.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So
you still have it?
Probably. Yeah, I'm sure I do. Somewhere.
Yeah, and if you've never seen the Russian Star Wars poster, well, we'll put it up on our enhanced podcast. But it's like a robot cowboy.
What?
It's a poster that just features a robot cowboy.
Okay.
I can't explain it. I don't know what.
All you have to do is look at it.
It's someone said, "Hey, make this poster. Who's in it?" I think a robot and a cowboy. You have 15 minutes.
Wow.
It's great that they're slowly giving people little nuggets of Rebels.
And keeping on the theme of Star Wars, it's treating you like you are in that universe.
Yeah, very much so.
Rather than telling you about the universe, which I really love.
I bet come spring you're gonna see all these recruitment posters everywhere. Yeah, and it's really telling about the Empire, how they're moving away from the clones to a draft system, promoting you to come and join the Empire, making it look so powerful and noble.
Yeah. Works on a lot of people.
So, coming this summer.
Yay.
That's only like 3 months away.
It's gonna fly by.
But summer, that could be June, that could be August 31st.
That's true. We'll hold out hope it's a little earlier. Thank you for joining us on episode 17 of Skywalking Through Neverland. Just a little heads up for next week.
We're going to be talking to Brian Stillman, the director of Plastic Galaxy, the story of Star Wars toys. If you haven't seen this and you're a collector from the 1970s and 80s, it's just going to hit all your nostalgic nerves. You must see this before next week when we talk to Brian. He's a very funny guy. He's got a great sense of humor, and which shows in his film. So I can't wait to talk to him. Can't wait to reminisce about the old iconic toys. You can get this film at plasticgalaxymovie.com, and for $21, extremely well worth it. Even if you didn't grow up playing with these toys, it's just so fun seeing the history of these iconic
Well,
toys.
it's like the making of the toys, which is really interesting because I wasn't even born back then, but it was interesting to me just to see on the level of how toys are created and molded.
You didn't play with these toys when you were a kid because
No.
they really weren't these toys when you were a kid. So it was great to see. It was great to have you ask me questions throughout the film. And Brian was extremely gracious enough to send us a advanced copy of Plastic Galaxy. And I've been watching it straight for weeks. It's just that good. You want to see it over and over again. So once again, if you haven't seen it, I urge you to watch it before our show next week.
Also, if you'd like to share your stories about playing with the action figures, play sets, or what else, Richard?
Or my favorite, Imperial Troop transports. Well, then let us know. Send us in pictures of you playing with these toys and stories, whatever you have. We want to know about them and so we can share them.
Yeah, you know what? You can post to our Facebook page. Let people see it right away. Facebook.com/Skywalking Through Neverland. Or feel free to send us an email if you want us to talk about it on the show. Share at skywalkingthroughneverland.com. Oh, and new this week, we are now on Stitcher Radio.
Yay!
Yeah!
Yeah, hitting the big times.
Yeah, so if any of you are keeping iTunes on just because we're only on iTunes, well, now you can use Stitcher if that is your favorite method of choice for listening to podcasts. Only on Stitcher Radio, you will not be able to see the enhanced version of our podcast. Stitcher is only audio.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But still.
It is a way to see it, though, or hear it. So
Now, as you're listening to this particular podcast, we're also running a new contest.
that's right, on Facebook.
Our first ever Skywalking Through Neverland contest.
It's a Facebook giveaway, and we are giving away mouse ears.
We figure for people who don't live on either coasts, who just can't, because they don't sell these at stores. So the only way to get them is at the parks.
Yeah, the Disneyland mouse ears. So we're offering a choice of 4.
There's the R2-D2, my personal favorite mouse ears.
R2-D2 Mickey ears. We also have the classic Disney Mickey ears with a patch that says Disneyland on it. And on the back, you can embroider a name of your choice. And then we're also offering the Mickey ears and the Minnie ears. And we'll show you pictures on Facebook of what those look like. All you have to do is like that Facebook post. You can feel free to share it. You don't have to share it to win. And then also you can comment on the Facebook post. And that will also get you several more entries into the contest.
And this contest will be running Monday, February 10th through Monday, February 24th.
24th at midnight.
So you have 2 weeks. Last week we had teased that we were going to play a song that was a parody of the parody song, What Does the Fox Say? However, there were some technical difficulties and the song wasn't finished yet. So it is coming, just not for this week.
Yes. So no Fox song.
So we will need to wait another week or two before we know what a tauntaun says.
Ooh. But we can sing it now. What does the fox say?
And now we will leave you once again with Sam Shazam dancing in a Ewok hood.
Intercut with a video my mom and dad sent in from the Olympic ceremonies when they noticed a man dancing exactly like Sam Shazam in the crowd. That's it, everyone. And remember, Neverland on Alderaan. Thank you for listening to Skywalking Through Neverland. We would love to hear what you thought of the show. Please send feedback and suggestions. You can email us at share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com. Please visit us at our website, skywalkingthroughneverland.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/skywalkingthroughneverland and on Twitter at skywalkingpod. All material submitted becomes the property of Skywalking Through Neverland and are subject for use on our show. You can help support Skywalking Through Neverland by posting about us on Facebook, Twitter, or just tell another fanboy or girl. We would also really appreciate a 5-star review on iTunes. A link to our iTunes page can be found on skywalkingthroughneverland.com. Skywalking Through Neverland was created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Segment producers are David Scale, Richard Woloski, Sarah Woloski, and Mark Agushowitz. Graphic design and website design by Sarah Woloski. Technical advisor is Peter Heitman. Skywalking Through Neverland is not affiliated with Lucasfilm Limited, Disneyland Resorts, or the Walt Disney Company. All names, sounds, and related items of Star Wars and Disney are registered, trademarked, and copyright Lucasfilm Limited and the Walt Disney Company and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All rights reserved. Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Hey Hey Entertainment, copyright 2013, all rights reserved. No part of this show may be repurposed, reproduced, redistributed, or rebroadcasted without the written permission of Hey Hey Entertainment.
Sorry, all that had to be said.
Goodbye. Live long and prosper. Wait, sorry. May the Force be with you.
And cut!
That's a wrap.